Quilty is brought to you by APQS, handcrafted quilting machines. Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Clothworks, inspiring creativity with art on fabric. Hovels Sewing, when you need to cut it close, choose Hovels. B&B, our fabrics, your lifestyle. Quiltology, the urban quilt space.
Quilty.
Oh, I didn't see you there. Welcome to Quilty. This is a Blocks a Go-Go show, and I'm just working on the block we're going to talk about, the Union Square block. Join us, and I'll teach you how to make it from square one. I found this in this great book called Sampler Quilts and Blocks. It's a really great little, sort of a magazine book. It's a bookazine. I don't know. I think there's a name for that. But what it is just, it's beat up. It's totally beat up. This is my own personal copy. I use it all the time. And it's got a zillion blocks in here. Like all of these great quilt blocks. Sorry, I put my coffee cup on it. It looks terrible. But it shows how well I love it and how much I use it. It just block after block in this bookazine. And when I was going through it and making different blocks for my own self, I found Union Square, and see, I put Quilty on that because I wanted to show you how to do it. So the way this book works is you get a cutting chart, and it gives you 3 different sizes. So let me go to my block that I made. I made the block that finishes 6 inches. So this block is 6 inches finished. And so here on my cutting chart, it gives me 6-inch finished blocks. These are the strip widths I need to cut, right? So from the light, I need to cut that, a 1 7/8 strip for the A pieces, and we go up to the block diagram and it shows me, okay, there's the A piece. So, it all works together. It's like this little, it's your guide, it's your pattern. I mean, this is what a quilt pattern looks like. So, so I looked at this and I was like, oh, I totally want to make a smaller block. Let me make the 6-inch block. Well, it wasn't easy, let me tell you, but I thought it was great to teach because if you're working with small pieces, you need to know some of the things that we're going to go through. So I also did, though, so you can see how this works, I also made a 12-inch finished with a little different blue in there. See how that works? So that's the same pattern. I did a 12-inch finished block using a different strip width. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so we're going to talk about this a little bit more later. So in the first half of this episode, I'm going to fold this back and I'm going to keep this near me because when you're making a quilt block or a quilt, anything, keep your pattern handy, refer to it often. It's your recipe. It's like your recipe for the block. So, and I made my little sample block and I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to put it right there. Okay. So the first thing we need to do when we're making this block, like any block, is we need to cut strips. There are quilt blocks you can do without cutting strips, but for this, we want to cut strips. So from our fabrics, I'm going to put these in order here. DEF, there's DEF. And what I used is this really amazing organic cotton from Clothworks right there. I love it. Love it. Take a little nap on it, but now's not the time. Now it's work time. Okay, so and I did actually switch it up in this Union Square block. They're just using 2 colors, as you can see. It's just blue and white. But I was like, ooh, what if these pieces? What if they were different color? So I just made that little choice along the way. And now it's time to teach you the first thing about and use a special tool. We're using 2 special tools for this block. And the first tool is going to be this marking. It's a 1/4 inch seam marker. It's like, wait a minute, is it a marker? You can't like mark with it? No, it's kind of a weird name actually, I'll be honest. It's a 1/4 inch seam marker. You use a pencil with it or some kind of marking pen, but it helps you mark your 1/4 inch seam. That's why they call it that. So I recommend getting one of those, and while you're at it, while you're getting your special tools, we're going to use the triangle trimmers also for this block. So that's next time. I'm just giving you a heads up. If you're watching the show and you're waiting for next week and you don't have triangle trimmers, grab them because we're going to use them next time. So that's the other special tool. Okay, but for now, this 1/4 inch seam marker is going to be really helpful. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of these strips because I'm just going to do one of these. I'm going to use the A strip And I marked these. Whenever I'm like cutting lots and lots of strips, I get these little Post-its or these little stickers somehow like on a big tray. Mark the strips so you have them and you know what you're looking at, because a lot of times they're really similar. Like a 1 7/8 inch strip looks pretty similar to a 2 7/8 inch strip. So to keep track of them before you start cutting them up, I label them, certainly for the show, but also in my real life. Okay. Look at that. Okay, so we want to, our pattern tells us, we want to cut, I'm going to bring this out so the camera can get a good look. We've cut a 1 7/8 inch strip because we're making a 6-inch finished block. And it tells me I need 8 of those. I need to make a 1 7/8 inch square and cut it in half. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I get on my safety glove. So I need to start out, before I bisect that square, I need to make a square, okay? So I'm going to put my ruler down, and I'm going to bring it over here, cut off that end. Okay, whoops. You know, I was teaching a beginner class a couple weeks ago in Atlanta, and people handled their fabric really, really like gingerly. They were so afraid. And so you can manhandle your fabric a little bit. Don't worry so much about it. It can take it. Your fabric can take a little manhandling. Okay, not too much, but it's cotton, it's pretty tough. Okay, so I'm measuring out 1 7/8. I use the lines on my ruler to make sure I'm getting 1 7/8. Put that to the side. Now, here's where your 1/4 inch marker comes in. Okay, I'm gonna pull one of those squares out. You need to cut this in half. And you could just sort of eyeball it and like slice it in half. You could do that. You could put your ruler down and just sort of fudge it. You could also use your scissors. You could get out this piece is so small. You could actually be like, I'm just gonna snip it with my scissors, kind of get old school. I don't recommend that either because it takes a lot of time and it's not very accurate. To get a perfectly accurate bisected square, this is what you do. This is this tool here. You see that middle yellow line? It runs straight down the ruler. And if you line it up with your square and you've cut an accurate square, you've got a yellow line at this point here and a yellow line at this point here. That's dead center. Take your pencil and you mark on either side of this ruler, because this little ruler, how it helps you is that's a 1/4 inch from the yellow line on this side and it's a 1/4 inch from the yellow line on that side, okay? Make sure it actually made my line. Okay, so then take the ruler away and put it back on, lining the yellow line up with the side on the left, okay? See, so I've got my yellow line on the line I just marked, and now that's dead center, and I mark that too. Okay, so then you cut it in half, and you have your triangle, and that's sort of the main lesson for today. So do not use this ruler to cut against. It's not big enough, it's dangerous, even if you have your safety glove on. Put your regular rotary cutting ruler down, right on your line. You have this beautiful line to cut on, and you bisect just like that, okay? And what's cool about the 1/4 inch seam marker is that if you take another look at these triangles, you have the line where you sew. That's your 1/4 inch, and that's where you are going to sew when you join this to your orange piece, okay? So like I said, there's tons of stuff to learn on this block. We just got through this much. Join us next time for the rest of this episode. It's gonna go fast. Like once you get this down and once you know how to bisect that square for that perfect 2 halves of your triangle, you're like home free, mostly. Okay, just come back and join us on Facebook and Twitter and ask us questions and send us show suggestions, and come back for the rest of the Union Square block, which I worked really hard on, so you have to come back and see it. Thanks.
Quilty is brought to you by APQS, handcrafted quilting machines. Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Clothworks, inspiring creativity with art on fabric. Hovels Sewing, when you need to cut it close, choose Hovels. E&B, our fabrics, your lifestyle. Quiltology, the urban quilt space.